Welcome to the show. Welcome, everyone. Great to have you guys on with us today. We have an interesting show. Do you hear me? Okay. Can everyone hear me? I think my mic's plugged in. I didn't actually test it. Audio. Yeah, my mic says it's working here. And yeah, sounds like everything's working here. Okay. Okay. So, hello, Jane. Hello. Thank you for being with us. More CSA problems. Uh, we're just kind of recapping some stuff. We're going to look at things from a different angle. Carrie Leakham. Hello from Canada. What part of Canada are you from, Carrie? San Diego Pimo, welcome to the show. How's the weather in San Diego? It's cold here. Our leaves are just about to come out, but not yet. Kind of looks like fall outside, but there's a little bit of green, a tint of green in the grass. I know that's not the way it is in San Diego. I said that with a little bit of we're waiting for our summer. I used to go down to San Diego a lot. And who do we have? Tier 5. Hello, Tier 5. Hello. What? Hello. Oh, was Tier 5 the one that let me add this to the stage. Yes. Our yesterday's video. So, what do I want? What do I want to say about it? I want to say thank you, everyone, for watching it. Number one, I thought it was a little bit funny because of the Bibles, but I did give a little bit of a political slant on that video, and that was, I apologize. This channel's not about a political slant at all. In fact, we work with the governments. It's the people. It's you guys that vote in the governments. And after I read some of the comments, I went back and did a little bit of research. Actually, Trump has a very powerful personality, one that when he takes the lead, he's a leader. And just like all of us, we have our dark side of our personality. I call it the white wolf and the dark wolf. And that goes back to actually, they call it an indigenous belief, but it actually circles all the way back to a Christian belief where Paul talked about we have the works of the spirit and the works of the flesh. And that's just who we are. We're in this body and it does things at times. And Trump actually is a good leader. And the fact that he's wealthy, like he's like 4 times more wealthier, one guy, than the whole Watchtower, he knows how to make money. So some of the comments I read is that when he was in power, the U.S. people had the best economy with him there. And then he stopped wars. I read that in some of the comments, where he pulled troops back, stopped wars. And then my good wife, she's always a good balancer for me. And she says, what's wrong with making some money off the Bible? Lots of people make money off the Bible. The Catholics make money off the Bible. The Watchtower makes money off the Bible. And at least Trump's pushing the King James Version. It is a better Bible. I'm not saying it's the best. I don't know what the best Bible is. But at least it's not tainted by Gerber. So, like the Watchtower Bible. It's not changed. It's more authentic. So he's using it to create some money. He's not saying that he's going to preach and be a church. So what I learned in this whole process is that there's two sets of news out there, and you can slant things however you want. Just like you're watching this show. This is ExJW news. Am I going to highlight I was in it for 30 years, so it's different. You see, I never studied political science. I don't know anything about politics. We're coming out as ExJWs, and I think the most I looked at the politics, I thought it was kind of humorous at first when Trump got voted in. We're all watching it through the virus, right? That's all there was through the virus, was watching a few TV programs on YouTube or whatever. And you can get stuck in that kind of stuff too. You can different channels. Last night I did some research on Biden and his son. You don't want to go down that road, I'll tell you. If anybody is interested in some of the research I've done, I would share it, not publicly, but I'd share it on Discord if you're into some of this. But I found some interesting research. So anyways, we're going to move on. So take everything with a grain of salt. I don't have all the answers. Here's my out. I'm going to give you guys my out. Where is it? I have it here. I have it here, right here. Here's my out.
And also, the governing body is neither inspired nor infallible, and so it can err in doctrinal matters or in organizational direction. Well, knowing this, then, we are not embarrassed about adjustments that are made, nor is an apology needed for not getting it exactly right previously. We understand this is how Jehovah operates. He reveals.
Now, of course, I'm not operating under Jehovah's rule, so I do think an apology is necessary. So to all you people out there that commented on the site and gave me the other side of the Trump story, thank you for that. Thank you very much. And I apologize if I offended anybody, because this is not a political channel. What I have to do here in Canada as an activist is I have to get to know what our government's all about and how it works. And you see, as an ex-Jehovah's Witness, we come out and we have no interest in government because the Watchtower has really told us to hate the governments. The wild beast they called the government. Not a nice name. That's what the Watchtower called them, and they programmed all of us to believe that. So we come out, and various ones, I noticed some on the channel, have gotten into politics, and they're enjoying it. They're getting to know it and understand it. And I think that's important for all of us ExJWs. We're going to be doing that up here in Canada, and we'll share our journey as we go. So again, thank you very much, and we are going to move on. We're going to put that one to rest. Unless you want to come on Discord, leave some comments on the Discord channel. I have a Fixing My Faith right in Mr. Fix It or whatever, right in Discord. You can leave me some comments on anything videos you guys would like to see. That's what I really look at, is the Discord now. There's too many comments. I do go through some of them. I'm not the best to go through the comments, but my good wife, she goes through a lot of them, and then we sit down and look at them. So I do see comments. Yes, I do. But if you want to really get my attention, go on to Discord, Fixing My Faith, and the link is in all of our videos. My good wife's putting it on there right now for us. Okay, well, I'm going to move on. We're going to move into this guy here, Gary Breaux, and he says he's a helper on the service desk. He's really, the more we research this guy, he's really connected to the Montana cases and everything. And in fact, it appears that all of the CSA cases are going through his department. And we're going to read some transcripts, what he talks like in court. But before we read the transcript, I want to remind everyone, this is what he talks like to the Watchtower. And here it is. We'll put this on big screen. This is what he talks like to the Watchtower. Now, we've run this a lot, but here it is.
And what table can we trust? The table surrounded by our future kings, the governing body. Future kings, the governing body. By our future kings, the governing body. Our governing body. They never lie or deceive us. They never lie.
Okay, I'm back on. Look at his eyes. They never lie or deceive us. Just look at his eyes there and how he says that with that smirk. And he kind of looks down. He kind of looks down. He's looking at his notes as he's talking about them right there. And he's reading it. He knows what he has to say, but he can't say it to us with a straight face. And then when he does say it, they never lie. Look at that smirk. Like it's like I don't think he believes his own BS. If I was in any kind of a forensic person, I'm not. But it's interesting. The facial expressions spell 1,000 words. Okay, so we're gonna. Having said that, this is our next part. Is he's connected to this whole Montana case, and this was just off watching Watchtower. So I pulled up the exhibit, and this is the K cart versus Watchtower Bible and Tract. I'll pull that up a little bigger for you. And of New York, this is all tied into the Montana case. Okay, where am I? Shut that off. And so we downloaded this part of this, and this is one of the exhibits. It's going back to 2015, this exhibit on Gary. And Gary, when you research Gary, boy, is he ever tied in. Here's another website. It's called JW Child Abuse. These are all the documents that Gary Breaux is tied to. Breaux, I guess you don't pronounce the X. So Gary Breaux. So these are all the court cases, Watchtower cases that he's tied to. So he's really tied up in these. Now here's the, let's grab the transcript. There it is. This is what it looks like. There's a lot of pages here. I'm going to go down. We're going to look at a little bit of it. So this is what it all looks like. Page 1 of 15. And this was filed June of last year. Okay, so I'm just going to make it smaller. Get ahead here. Let's go down. So this just kind of goes to show how these court cases, these are the little ticker things that the court clerk is doing as everyone's talking. So we're reading this right like from the ticker tape, right from the court stand. So I got to put on all my voices here because we have lawyers and Crown prosecutors and so on and so forth. So we have the Exhibit 2 marked Q here, Mr. Schult and Mr. Breaux. Mr. Schult is the lawyer for the Crown prosecutor. So he's with the Qs. He has the questions. Schult, Mr. Schult. Thank you, good wife. So he's asking all the questions, Mr. Schult, and Mr. Breaux is giving the answers. And then every once in a while, Mr. Breaux's lawyer gets in and says, objection. So I'll try to get that right here. Okay, so the question is, the Crown prosecutor says, Mr. Breaux, do you understand that prior to your deposition today, even though this objection was filed, counsel for all parties withdrew these motions and objections to the deposition. So you notice here, his lawyer pops in here, Mr. Feensberg, and he says, objection. And then Mr. Miller here, he says, no, that wasn't withdrawn. It was the other one that was withdrawn. And then the Crown prosecutor says, all right, we can take that up with the court. You know, this is the kind of BS that just goes on all the way through here. So I read through this whole 15 pages of this. So I highlighted some stuff here. And Breaux kind of answers things correctly. You know, he was asked until you get to the Watchtower. And then watch how evasive he is. So, all right, and during the years, did you work for the Watchtower Service Department? I'm going to blow this up just to see. So the Crown prosecutor asks the question, the Q. And he says, all right, during what years did you work for the Watchtower? Breaux says 1994 until present. And then the prosecutor says, from 1994 to present, while working at the service department, what specific positions did you hold? I served at the service desk until I was appointed on the branch committee, and then I no longer had a particular desk. I was more in consulting. Question, what is the branch committee? Answer, the branch committee is a group of men appointed by the governing body to care for the spiritual needs of a particular country or countries. Question, was the branch committee within the service department? No. Question, all right, is a branch committee part of the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society? Answer, and when you say Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, you mean legal? Is that what you're having to reference to? This was his answer. His answer was a question. And so the court says, well, let me back up. Is the Watchtower Service Department within the organization of the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of New York? And here's his answer, Breaux. What time period are you talking about? Question. From 1994 until 2001. Like he knows he's in court because this is all about CSA cases, folks. This is about covering, this is how Watchtower uses their service committee guy, Gary Breaux, to cover this stuff up. He is evasive in court. Let's carry on. He answers, the question is from 1994 to 2001. And then Gary says, well, service department was part of Bethel itself. Watchtower is a corporation. Bethel is New York Bethel, is the branch for the United States. So we had letterheads that were on Watchtower letterheads. You see how, like, they do not want any of this responsibility coming back to the organization. Then they go down question. All right, more specifically, was the service department part of the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society from approximately 1970 through to 2000? And if you understand the question, you can answer. And here's the answer. Here's Gary Breaux. Or are you waiting for me to answer? The Crown prosecutor, Mr. Schultz, says, yeah. And then Watchtower lawyer says, I'm sorry. And then this guy says, Gary Breaux says, I'm sorry. And then the question, Mr. Schultz, the Crown says, well, that's all right. What is, strike that? You understand what the Watchtower Service Department is? And Gary Breaux says, yeah. You say Watchtower? You mean Service Department of Jehovah's Witnesses. I understand that. You see how elusive he is? Just plays dumb. Okay, question. Yes, sir. Gary says, yes, I do understand what it is. Why didn't he just say that to begin with? He's trying to skirt the question. Like, that's what they do all day long. Question from the Crown. All right. And is that particular department, the Watchtower Service Department, within the organization of the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of New York? And then the Watchtower lawyer jumps up and says, objection to form. You can answer it if you understand it. And so Gary Breaux says, yeah, Watchtower Bible and Tract Society is legal. It's a legal arrangement, a legal corporation. Service department is not. It's not a legal entity. And then the Crown says, Mr. Schultz, this is Mr. Schultz, the Crown, he says, what is, let me ask it this way, what is your understanding of the service department affiliation or association with the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of New York? And Breaux says, service department meets in the building owned by the Watchtower in New York. And then the Crown says, are you saying that the Watchtower Service Department is a separate entity? And Breaux says, no, I'm saying the service department is a part of the overall Jehovah's Witness arrangement. And the Crown says, well, all right. And then Breaux says, Well, the Watchtower is just a legal instrument that's used by Jehovah's Witnesses. And then the Crown says, all right, how long were you working with the Watchtower Service Department? And then Breaux says, again, you say Watchtower? You use the term Watchtower. I worked in the service department of Jehovah's Witnesses since 1994 to present. Okay, you see what's going on here, folks. Watchtower, Gary Breaux does not want Watchtower Bible and Tract Society to be sued for any of these things. You see, all the money sits in the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of New York. That's where all the money is. And they are the ones that are instructing everyone. And it comes out here. They actually go in and ask him, are you guys writing letters? Are your letters to elders? And he has to agree that they were. But you see how elusive they are when it comes to anything to do with the Watchtower. They don't want the Watchtower to be sued. And they don't want the Watchtower to be guilty. You know, those guys never lie. They always tell the truth. You see, Gary Breaux is kind of the pawn, or the, you know, what do they call him, a knight or whatever. He's in front of the kings in this case, in the chess game. And he's doing whatever he can to protect the 9 kings and to make them look righteous. That's what I see. So, okay, so we're going to move on. We're going to move on out of here. And that's what's going on. That's the part that's happening in Montana. The other part that's happening in Montana is the lawyer, Brumley. Brumley is going to, he's fighting this in Alaska, I guess. We're not sure if that's because that's where the states, like for the US, one of the federal appeal courts are in Alaska. That's why they're using it. So Brumley is appealing the sanctions. You remember the $154,000 he was caught for lying and deceiving the courts. This is the same case. It's went on that long. These girls have not even gone to court yet. So this is just a classic example of how Watchtower is fighting tooth and nail around the world not to go to court. And this is such a important case, this one, because once this work is done, it's done. The Watchtower is uncovered, undressed. And that's what this is about, is undressing the Watchtower and getting to the bottom. Now, what they do is they move around people in these service departments. So guys like Gary Breaux, they're just kind of front-end consultants now. That's what they call themselves. And when they're asked, do you know of? They know nothing. You see, all the records are shredded anyways, but any of the people in the service department that know anything, they'll have them all, this guy, there'll be different people. But Gary might not know much. So he can go to court and lie for the Watchtower. That's indirect lying, folks. When you're called by the government, and we have laws to get answers, and you pull people into court and answer, I'll tell you one thing, Trump is a lot more forthcoming than Watchtower. Watchtower is just a bunch of liars. They hide, at least Trump comes in and talks about it, and then he pays out his fines or whatever he's doing to deal with it. There's a plug for the Trump guys. So, but the Watchtower doesn't do that. Not at all. They're cowards. You see, Trump, he's a political leader. He'll stand up for himself. He'll go to court. He'll get in front of people. He'll talk. Watchtower will not. Those 9 kings are hiding behind this guy, Gary Breaux. And Gary just gets in there, and he can't even tell us, the audience, we looked at that the Watchtower doesn't lie. He can't look at us with a straight face and tell us that. You know, his face says 1,000 words. Okay, we're going to move on. The next article, before we move on, we're going to say hi to everyone. And then we're going to move into, the double downing on the scriptures here. There was a lot on Gary I could talk about, but a lot of you guys know him. We're going to talk more about him as time goes on. It looks like he's the front guy. It looks like for the governing body. We're going to talk about what's going on in Oslo, and we're going to talk about what's happening in Japan. But first of all, we're going to say hi to everyone. How rude of me. Didn't even do that, did I? Okay, we did say hi. Carrie from Canada. Hello, tier 5. San Diego, we said hi. We didn't say hi to Marge. Tess, hello. And Chad Steinmetz. Hello, Chad. Welcome. And we have, who else? Jay. We just have a Jay. Happy birthday, Jay. Jay said thank you. Is this the same Jay? Oh, this is the same guy. So Jay, thank you. No? Oh, this is a different Jay. Okay. So this is a different Jay. Happy birthday, Jay. And Eagles and Horses from Tennessee. Hello, Tennessee. Looks like our horse. I think I said that last time. Okay, Rob Christopher. Hello again, everyone. Welcome back. And we have Canadian Angelica. Welcome. Anglican. I said Angelica last time too. I'm so sorry. I only have grade 7.3 English. Anyways, I think it's improved over the last 2 years. Okay. Oh yeah, we said that one. So where are we? Eric is on. Rob Christopher is on. June is on. Hello, June. And I don't see Eric. Fire Soul Rockers, the old world of Rena. Robert Gray from Queensland. Hello, Robert. And you said, oh yeah, hi, Eric. Okay, there he is. Eric. Hello, Eric. Welcome back. And wow, we have a lot of people on with us, so that's great. Yeah, Abundance Create. Hello, all. Welcome to the show. Okay, so we got a little bit of a start on things here. We're already half hour in. And for those of you that got on a little bit late, we talked about Gary Breaux, our bro Gary over at the Watchtower, and how he doesn't lie. Well, you see, he said that the governing body doesn't lie. And if you shelter the governing body and you stick these guys in a room and don't let them see anything, and that could be what's happening, folks. And then they throw Gary at the front end. He's in charge of the whole service department where all the CSA comes into. It doesn't even go to the legal department anymore. It goes through his hands. But he might have a whole bunch of people, hundreds of people. And it never really goes through his hands. So when he goes to court, he can just be evasive. I don't really know. He doesn't really know this. He doesn't know that. But he does know. But he doesn't really know. You see, and he's not saying that he doesn't lie. He says the governing body doesn't lie. You see, he's not speaking for himself. I don't lie. I think if you look, there's lots of lies, lots of twists. So you see how the Watchtower takes it. They twist it. They're evasive. They go to court. They don't even respond. We looked at this week that New York case where someone had personal injury suit against the Watchtower at Queensland Assembly Hall. And that's for sale, by the way, for $16 million. But wasn't that one of those assembly halls in New York where all the rank and files came in and just made it look like $1 billion? Remember that? I think that was one of them. But yeah, it's for sale. But they have a personal injury suit and they're just evasive. They won't return paperwork. They won't return motions. So finally, the courts are calling them names. I forget the name. contemptuous, something like that. Spoliation. The Watchtower is getting nailed with all these names. They're not nice names. Okay, let's move on. We're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in Norway. And I thought this was interesting. This was the news in Norway. Think about this. This is not ExJW news. This is the Norway newspapers. And this is how they're looking at it. They're saying Jehovah's Witnesses ease shunning rules after the blow in the Oslo court. And that's basically what happened. After Norway, all over the world, the shunning all of a sudden lessened a bit for disfellowship people. You could now talk to disfellowship people at the Kingdom Hall. You'll go up and say hi to them and encourage them. And in fact, we hear a lot of reports where family members are going out, all these disfellowship people, disassociated people that have left for 20 years, and they're getting all kinds of, their phones are ringing off their hook. All the people that have left, their phones are ringing off the hook. All these family members, hey, you can come back. Let's come to the hall, hey, you want to go to a movie and go fishing? No, can't do that. Can't do that. I can invite you to the Kingdom Hall only, but that's all. Got to keep this just Kingdom Hall invite only. You want to have a family supper, Thanksgiving, Mother's, Father's Day? Oh, no, none of that. You're disfellowshipped, dear. You're disfellowshipped. We can't talk to you. But I'm talking to you now. But I can invite you to the meeting. That's all we can talk about. Meeting. Yeah, they lessened up on it. It's mind-blowing, in my opinion. When I look at what's going on in the last 6 months, I'm glad I'm an apostate. This is to me, this is one of the most exciting times of history. And this is documented all over the world. It's being documented right now in Wikipedia. People are just going crazy. Avoid JW. Everyone's documenting this. There's hundreds more YouTubers, creators online telling their stories. Hundreds more. We started 2 years ago. There was just a few. There's hundreds and hundreds of active YouTubers out there talking about it all over the world. One's in Africa now. Anywhere there's internet, this is taken off. It's in my opinion, this is one of the most exciting times to be an ex-Jehovah's Witness. So if you're not one yet, join the ranks, join ExJW Friends, Discord community. We're watching Jonathan from ExJW Analyzers this morning, and he says his life hasn't been better since he's left. He just can't say how much better his life has been, and he's went into different things. And we read comments, and different ones on the comments are going into politics, learning about it, it's about making a difference, right? That's what life is about. And when you're stuck in the Watchtower, you can't even speak your inner feelings. So how can you make a difference, right? Unless you want to be there. And for some people that are in the Watchtower, they may not be stuck. That may be the best place for them right now. We can't judge. You and I can't judge. But what we can do is we can be here on the outside. And for all of those ones that want to leave, well, there's ExJW Friends on the outside. And I think that's what some of this is all about. This is what's giving us all a sense of purpose. And I think this new energy is driving a lot of people, a lot of ExJWs. So let's see what's happening here in Norway. Jehovah's Witnesses ease shunning rules after the blow. It's kind of like a fallout. Like after that Norway court system, there's like a fallout. What's going on? Well, there's a whole pile of changes. Jehovah's Witnesses worldwide have eased the discipline for youth members after serious wrongdoing. And this is from the newspaper. The new guideline came within 2 weeks after the decision of the Oslo District Court in Norway to strip the Jehovah's Witnesses of their official status as a registered faith community. Now, to you and I as ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, we know that this is not enough. Like it's just kind of like the tip of the iceberg. This, what they're releasing, allowing people to talk. They're not really allowing disfellowship people to have a relationship, you know, Thanksgiving dinner, sit down and have a meal. They're not allowing that. That's what families do. You know, you can get that in prison. If you're in solitary confinement, they let you out. You can meet with family, have a meal. The Jehovah's Witness rules are worse than prison rules. Now, the faith community, the JWs seem to be trying to get a better position in Norway, so says the news article. And the community came under attack for its rigid rules regarding the discipline of baptized minors. So among Jehovah's Witnesses, it is usual that children choose for baptism between 12 and 16 years. And religiously, they are seen as responsible members then who can be disciplined. And there have been cases of disfellowship after serious wrongdoing, resulting in shunning, isolation, and contact bans. And for individuals and families, this can be rigid and feel like psychological violence. So for any of you guys out there being shunned, you know what it feels like. Now, for the Norwegian state, this practice is controversial because those baptized minors are legally still kids, right? They're kids. Now, the state feels responsible for protecting the minors. And after complaints of psychological violence, the authorities decided in 2021 to rip the Jehovah's Witnesses. It's funny how they use that word, in the newspaper. Rip the Jehovah's Witnesses in Norway from their legal status, which they had since 1985. You can tell the newspaper is really, they're not for JWs at all, this newspaper. I don't think any of them are. According to, except Bitter Winter, and there's a few other ones out there, but no newspapers that I know of. Now, according to experts, this is the first time that a faith community lost its legal position in Norway. And this registration in Norway gives access to huge amounts of state subsidies. And I would think that happens all over the world. I heard reports, and we really don't know the depths, but Watchtower is putting claims in so many different ways to make money off people, off per head counts. In some countries, they pay a head count to the religion. So if you have, how many people do you have attending? How many seats do you have? And then they'll give so much a seat to help that charity organization. So there's all kinds of subsidies. Now, the monetary support in Norway was about 16 million, which is about 1.3 million euros every year. And over 3 years, together with interest, the JWs demanded 50 million, 4.3 million euros back. And with the deregistration, the Jehovah's Witnesses also lost the right to perform civil marriages. Traditionally, marriages were performed by the Lutheran State Church. Nowadays, all recognized faith communities, including the Humanist Society, they can perform civil marriage. Well, there you go. The Humanists can go into the Kingdom Hall and perform the marriage part of it. And then the elder can get up and give a talk, the marriage talk. That's how they can do it. It's not really that complicated. Now, the JW community in Norway, which consists of about 12,000 members and 700 local congregations, went to court about the decision, and the public sessions in court took 2 weeks in January. Dozens of people involved came to testify how significant the damage of an exclusion had been for them. Remember, the courts were filled with all these JWs. Others came to tell of the fear of being excluded. And yeah, well, the ExJWs, remember all the witnesses, the ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. So dozens of them came to testify how the damage of exclusion had been for them, been disfellowshipped. It causes a lot of damage, brain damage, psychological damage, suicides. There's so much damage from shunning the way they do it. We're not against shunning. No one's against shunning. I don't think the activists are. There's shunning all over the place. You're allowed to shun. If you have an unruly person that's causing a ruckus in your religious meetings, you might want to call the police and get a restraining order. That's how bad you might want to shun that person. You know, if they're dangerous, you know, shunning. There's lots of times there's marital problems, right? Divorces going on and all of those things, and it gets carried into congregations. So sometimes shunning is important, but shunning of children, come on, you know, this is what the whole world is against, is the shunning and abuse of children. And that's what's happening. You want to baptize children younger? You want to baptize them at 13? Well, you better have a different set of rules when it comes to shunning for the children. Right until they're older, the shunning has to go away from the activist point of view. That's what we're fighting for, is the shunning to go away. But we're not saying disfellowshipping or that stuff has to go away. They have to refine it, how they do it. How they're doing it now is not right. So here it is. The conclusion was clear. Disfellowshipping and shunning exist. However, legally, the central question was whether this is part of the community's freedom of belief or whether it restricts the freedom of those minors involved. And we're going to look at Japan next. And I think you're going to find it interesting what's going on in Japan regarding minors and how they're looking at this. So in Norway here, they're saying, and could it be grounds for deregistration? This is a new field since this is the first group that has been ripped off registration. That's how I'll put it. On March 4th, the judge confirmed the state's position. On March 28th, the Jehovah's announced the appeal and the simple greetings. Before the appeal was made known, another announcement came, and it was adjustments to handling serious wrongdoing in the congregation. This new rule, published in a video mid-March, includes a softening of the contact ban. Members may use their Bible-trained conscience to decide on simple greetings to a person removed from the congregation. It's no longer expected to ignore him completely. So it's amazing how the news is really up on this. I think the news all over the world is up on JWs. It's a hot topic, Jehovah's Witness news. So how big is this article? It goes down there. There's quite a bit there. I'm not going to read it all. We're going to move over to, we're already 43 minutes in. It's interesting what's going on there. It's interesting how the news is looking at this. You and I have seen this come right out the gate. We've been reporting on this. The news, what we'd call the worldly people, they're looking in on this religion, and no one is looking at this organization as a religion any longer. In Spain, it went to the courts. The court said, yeah, you can call them a sect, which is really calling them a cult. The most degrading thing for a religion is to be called a cult or a sect. It's degrading. It's just, remember when you were in it, if I was in it, and, oh, you guys are in a cult. No, I'm not. We're not a cult. Oh yeah, you guys are a cult. No, we're a religion. We're charity religion. We're involved in the preaching, where we have the truth. The truth. That's what we did. We did stuff like that. Okay, let's move over and look at what's going on in Japan. Japan's interesting. Okay, exchange rate, $1 equals 1.57 yens. That's just what's going on in Japan. Child abuse due to religious beliefs. This is the Children and Families Agency. They conduct the first fact-finding survey. This is brand new news, folks. April 26, 2024. Child abuse. So this is how it's being fought all over the world, is through the child welfare. That's what happened in Norway. It's about child abuse. So this is how we're fighting it in Canada, child abuse. This article is going to touch on the blood. This article, I actually want to read the whole thing. We have the time. This is brand new news. So let's look at it together here. This is how, and I think in Canada here, if we could get some help, even to get some letters going to, maybe that's where our letters should be going to the MP, Member of Parliament, but maybe our details in our letters should be going to child welfare. family services in Canada, in the States, as well. But anyways, here's what's happening in Japan. The Child and Family Affairs Agency conducted its first investigation into the child-based abuse on the parents' religious beliefs, such as the parents forcing the children. I'm just going to blow that up, see if you guys can see it a little better. Yeah, I think you can see that. So as a result, there's 47 cases nationwide up to September of last year. Additionally, medical institutions have reported cases of people refusing blood transfusions, and in some cases, patients have died. So this is a huge one. This blood transfusion thing. I can see Watchtower getting rid of that pretty quick. Table of contents, approximately 16% of the child guidance centers said there were causes of abuse. Approximately 16% said there was cases of abuse. So in order to understand the reality of child abuse based on religious beliefs of parents, the Child and Family Affairs Agency conducted its survey last year and announced the results on the 26th. So according to the results, 37 children guidance centers across Japan responded, and they said there was child abuse, right up from 2017 to September of last year. They have cases of child abuse. A total of 47 cases were determined to be abuse, and temporary protection was provided for 19 cases. So this is current stuff right now, young kids, in 40% of these cases. So the most common type of abuse was inciting fear, intimidation, and inhibiting children's free decision-making through words, images, and materials. There's a good study. Inciting fear, intimidation, and inhibiting children's free decision-making through words, images, and materials. Followed by professing religious beliefs in front of others. That's what JWs have to do. The kids go to school, they don't have the freedom to color a pumpkin or to color a Christmas tree or anything like that. Like if you go down the list, we had a video out, there's 141 different things you can't do being a Jehovah's Witness, roughly, and it might have been taken a bit out of context, but if you've seen the video, you know what I'm saying. Mother's Day, Father's Day, like everything. These kids cannot do anything. I wasn't a child growing up in this religion. I was a convert. I came in when I was 18 years old, so I missed all of this stuff. But my kids had to go through this. Why? Because the Watchtower, if you wanted to be in the Watchtower and you didn't want to be shunned, you had to, like if your kid was coloring Christmas trees at school, my kid was, you get in an elders meeting, the elders pull you into a meeting, why is your kid coloring Christmas trees at school? Well, I don't know, because he wanted to color. What's wrong with a Christmas tree? It's just a tree, right? Like I didn't make a lot of rules for my kids, but I got into a lot of elders meetings over my kids, because I let them do stuff. I let them be kids. And one of them decided at an earlier age, got baptized, and then decided a few years later, I'm done with this, walked away. Not disfellowship, not shunned, just walked away. My other child stayed in it. So, it all depends on the child. And they're all adults now. But Japan here, they're looking at the children right now too. And these are children. So there are many cases where children are forced to engage in religious activities, inciting fear through words, threats, or to show negative attitude, and conspicuously neglecting the upbringing of their children by participating in religious activities. That's it. So there you go. That's a lot of stuff. If you look at the Jehovah's Witness religion, the kids are forced out into the field ministry. If you're going to obey Jehovah, you have to go in the field ministry. The kids are programmed that way from birth. So Japan's looking at this as child abuse. And I think the more we advertise this, hopefully all the other countries are going to see the same thing. Norway does. In addition to failing to provide an appropriate living environment, clothing, food, etc., due to embezzlement of money through religious activities, that's an interesting one, folks. Embezzlement. This is what's coming out in these studies. This is a lot different than the Watchtower study. Remember, if you haven't seen it, the Blue Envelope, Phil, he put out a video on this Japan. And the Watchtower put out a whole big report. They did their own internal study. It's interesting. This is completely different. Watchtower doesn't show anything. They actually hired their own people to be the doctors in their study. It's interesting. So not allowing patients to see a medical institution. I thought that was interesting. In Japan, not allowing patients to see a medical institution, or not allowing them to receive treatment such as blood transfusions that a doctor deems necessary, etc. That was noticeable. And in addition, a survey of medical institutions with emergency centers, they found in the 3 years up to September last year that people are not allowed to visit a medical institution, and they're not allowed to perform medical treatments such as blood transfusions that a doctor deems necessary. At least 20 cases of abuse have been reported. Wow. I didn't realize that Watchtower was getting involved in inhibiting people from visiting a medical institution.
Well, yeah, they're not allowing transfusion.
We read lots of reports where if they're not allowing transfusions, they just put them in some room to die. You know, Watchtower, that's, I don't know. Well, anyways, this is what's going on in Japan. In one case, a 13-year-old child died after refusing a bone marrow transplant because of the blood transfusion doctrine. Here they have a thing, if you're experiencing of abuse, unable to talk to anyone, there's phone numbers in Japan here, Japanese. In interviews and written surveys of 28 so-called religious second-generation people whose parents were religious, roughly half said they were unable to talk to anyone about their experience of abuse. It's hard. If you're a Jehovah's Witness and you're in there and you're getting abused and you bring it forth, then you don't have a witness. You could be the one that is shunned. If the elders will tell you, if you keep talking about this, you might have to disfellowship you because you're gossiping. And you just didn't have a witness to the abuse. What do you do? See, this is all coming out, folks, in these studies. The children that have grown up in the Jehovah's Witness religion have been abused. Plain and simple. Reasons given here, the individual says, I didn't know if it was abuse. You know, so if you're in the Jehovah's Witness religion, you don't really know if it's abuse, right? I didn't know who to talk to. I was worried about what would happen after I consulted someone. In addition, when we surveyed elementary, junior high, and high school students about their awareness of the national guidelines on how to respond to religious abuse, only around 20% of them responded that they understood the content. So the children family agencies will work with the Ministry of Education and so forth to create an environment where children can seek help. So that's what's happening in Japan. National guidelines and responses. In 2019, the Ministry of Health, Labor, and Welfare, they compiled a Q&A report on child abuse, on parents and religious beliefs, including points to keep in mind when child guidance centers respond to consultation, as well as specific examples, and notified local governments across the country. So there's a lot going on in Japan. Okay, so they also use words such as go to hell and destroy to instill fear in children, forcing them to participate in religious activities and asking children to participate in school events. Now, this is a translation, folks, from Japanese to English. So I don't think the Jehovah's Witnesses use the words exactly here in English, go to hell. Maybe some religions do, but they scare by Armageddon. That's how they do it. You're going to die at Armageddon, kind of a thing. No, I missed this little bit. It talks about examples of slapping a child or whipping a child, regardless of reason. Such assaults are considered physical abuse. So that's Japan. That's they're really going hard on that. Okay, so using Armageddon, hell, whatever, to instill fear into children, it's child abuse. The Ministry of Education is also disseminating information on this. So Japan's making, they're a forward-seeking country. Our children are our next generation. We look after our children, and we've taken care of the next generation. So according to a report, in 2 years up until last year, 24 consultants related to the religion were received by school social workers or school counselors, and 13 were received through, that means 37 cases. So that's all that's saying. Okay, so there's a lot of surveys, schools, municipalities, medical institutions. We've seen a report from the government. This is all going forth. The government's, I think for a year, all of these research studies are going to go forth. And then we'll see what happens. It doesn't look good for the Watchtowers of this world. A woman who suffered abuse, I want you to put the child's feelings first. A woman who said she'd been subject to acts that amounted to child abuse, such as being forced to engage in religious activities, regardless of her own beliefs or wishes. So that's like going door to door, forcing your kids to go door to door. I want people to respond to the child's feelings first. Ask what the child really wants to do. Like, does a 5-year-old want to go door to door on the weekends? No, they want to play. Well, how much more of this? We're only about halfway done. Religious second generation creates an environment where children can seek advice. This is a big article, this Japan article. Some parties are calling for creation of an environment where so-called second generation religious children can seek advice and seek help. Teenage high school students whose parents believe in religion have forced to participate in meetings and missionary activities held by religious groups from an early age, regardless of their will, and are also forced to watch these anime and manga. I guess probably these cartoons that the Watchtower makes, all these movies. It is said that everything has been prohibited. And that's what they tell the kids. So this is all coming out. This is great that this is coming out. Although this type of behavior is considered psychological abuse under the national guidelines, he did not know at the time that it constituted abuse. The child didn't know that. And the reason for this is a high school student said her mother always said that the world would forgive her for religious reasons. So she thought that she shouldn't even ask for advice. Later, when he was unable to distance himself from the religious activities, when he entered a higher education, he realized for the first time that the behavior he had been subjected to constituted abuse. A high school student said, I felt like the adult around me took a step back when I mentioned religious reasons. So even if a child said religious reasons, the adults nearby would step in and talk about it. I think it's important to listen to each child's needs and provide support. that is tailored to each child. I think it's also necessary to create guidelines for children. So there's a group of second-generation religious people that desire to build a system to prevent child abuse. And that's what's going on in Japan. So, expert, you need to actively communicate that you're willing to seek advice. And here's some experts that are non-Jehovah's Witness experts. Professor Kimikati, whatever, of Risho University. So he's on the review committee for the investigation by the Children and Family Agencies. And he says, although not only physical abuse, but also psychological abuse is difficult to see, having their lives constantly restricted by their parents, religion, and ideology makes it difficult to build a relationship with friends and at work. And they say, I don't know how to live my life. And the voices are getting louder, he said. So yeah, that's what's happening. Children come out of the religion and they don't know how to live a life. If they leave the religion, they're completely lost. Many of them, they're shunned, most of them. Ministers of child policy, we will consider measures based on the results of research. That's what I like about Japan. They do a lot of research, right? Some people don't like research, but that's the only way that these government agencies are not Jehovah's Witnesses. So they have to do, and they're not ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. These are people, what a JW would call a worldly person. They would call them bad or part of the wicked system. That's how they're programmed. You see, this programming all has to go away. And how is it going to go away? It's going to go away kind of slowly, just like this. All this investigation, all this research into the Jehovah's Witness community, it's going to take years and millions upon millions of dollars of the taxpayers' money to deal with the fallout of this particular cult. This is a big cult, a lot of fallout. So that's the end of the article, folks. That's what we have. That's what's going on in Japan. It's all coming. Everything that's hidden will be revealed. Yeah. So let's look at some of the comments. Let's see what we have here. I'm going to go up here and see if I can get in on some of it. Okay. My father was, sometimes he'd yell. Yeah, right there. Yeah, there's one, tier 5. My father was a mental, emotional, and physical abuser. Sometimes he'd yell at me so much I'd faint. Sorry to hear that. You know, and that's the thing, the fathers, I don't know if your father, was he an elder? You know, these elders are under so much pressure. Their families have to be perfect. And then they come home and take it out on their family. So that's what we're fighting for. I wasn't the perfect father. I pushed my kids to go out in service. They'd come on, you guys, get up. We got to get out to the field service arrangement. It's in. And you know how many speeding tickets I got going to that damn field service arrangement? Like, I don't know why I did this, folks. I don't know why I did it, but my mind was sucked in to the Watchtower that I did it. And there's a lot of fathers that get out and feel guilty. Now, I wasn't the worst father in there because I gave the Pharisaical elders a run for their money in every congregation. And I started counting. I was in 6 congregations, 6 or 7.
How many congregations has everybody?
Yeah. So there's a good poll. How many congregations have you guys been in? I was in 7 congregations in 30 years. 30 years. And what I found in every congregation, and this is a JW thinking brain going back and trying to think about it. There was always Pharisees. There was always Pharisaical elders, and there are always a few loving elders. So, you know, we're all people, right? And I've learned over the last couple of years on this channel not to blame the people. We were people in there. It's really the doctrines, it's really the faithful slave, and it's really how cunning they are and how they're hiding behind their service desk. They're playing dumb, and they're covering up all this CSA. They're getting exposed, and they're getting exposed for the abuse. So yeah, the mental abuse is just crazy what goes on in a Jehovah's Witness family. You know, families should be sleeping in on Saturday morning, you know, a day of rest, right? If there's any kind of a belief that this Sabbath that's in the Bible is something that's important, I think everyone should be taking a rest, at least sleeping in a bit on a, you know, you work all week, right? You go to work all week, the kids are in school all week. Saturday morning comes around, everyone should be sleeping in a bit. The kids should get up, have a easy morning, watch cartoons, and then maybe in the afternoon, go to the park, go bike riding, go for a picnic, depending on the weather. Do something together as a family. And then you'd have strong families. Strong families build strong countries. Forget about the congregation, but strong families build strong neighborhoods, build strong countries. And that's my thoughts. Okay, let's look at some other comments here. Tier 5 says, once I was of age, I had enough. I pushed back and he told me to leave afterwards. I think he became afraid. And that's what happens. A lot of families do that. My son, he left. I helped him leave. I told him to quit going to meetings, just hook up to the phone. They used to do phone hookups. And then eventually him and I shared an apartment. I shared an apartment with him. Him and I left. That's when I went through the divorce. My ex stayed in it. So that's just how that happened. How many people are in the great province of Alberta? I don't know. 3 million. Alberta, how big is it? Let's see how close I am. 4.371 million in Alberta, according to 2019. That's what the survey says. So 4.3 million. We live right next door to Edmonton, the capital. We're about a half hour away. So we're on the outskirts. There's some bedroom communities, cities. And within the metropolis, there's a little over 1 million probably people right around where we live. Too many people for my liking. Okay, what's next? Two witness rule. Well, thanks, San Diego, for that, and Tier 5 for all your comments here. Two witness rule. I guess if something is recorded and shown to the elders, will probably be dismissed because the camera isn't baptized. In a good standing. Good one. The camera's not baptized, so it can't be a witness.
So they're actually letting you know how many congregations they've been in, how many years at the bottom.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, I'll get there.
So.
Okay, I'll get there. From Arkansas. Lewis. Hello, Lewis. Quick update. Well, we're knocking bricks out of the Watchtower. That's what's going on. We just present on this channel. The real people that are knocking the bricks out are the lawyers, the people that are going through on the lawsuits, the Montana case, all these victims. That's the real heroes here that are really doing a lot. We just report on it. Hopefully it gives some ExJWs or JWs that, you know, when they're coming out to see the other side of the story a little bit, because you can't really see much when you're inside the Watchtower. We don't know much. We don't know much about politics or anything. Okay, so we were looking for how many congregations. How many congregations have you been in? Lewis says he was in 5 in 30 years. Jane said she was in 3. So I think I was talking to Joe and Fran. They were in something like 9 congregations. So yeah, we tend to move. The average person moves a bit. Every 5 years, the average person moves statistically. Okay. When you're younger, I think you move quite a bit. You might move once, you get an apartment, then you get a better deal on something, or maybe you move up to a house. I'm not sure. But as we move around, and then the territories, JWs have these territories, and they're really anal about you sticking to the territory. If you just moved a street over, you got to go move into another congregation, get to know people all over again. And unless you're an elder and there's a reason and it's all approved by the circuit overseer, they're really anal about everything. Very, very high control cult. Most religions, you can go to any church you want. Maybe that church over there has a band. You maybe like their band. I don't know. Maybe that church over there, they do something different. You like it. Maybe they have a Sunday school and they have a really good Sunday school teacher, all approved and everything. And you can go out and listen to the sermon. Your children can go down, and there's a playroom. They can be loud. They can throw balls around and things like that. They don't have to sit like at a Kingdom Hall. There's all kinds of different churches, different ways of getting to know people. And we've seen a lot of people come out of the Jehovah's Witness religion and say, well, what's the truth? Well, there is no truth. Like the truth is what you want to make it. But you can take the Bible and follow it. Jesus, you can follow Jesus' writings. That's what I tend to do. The Bible's really not that complicated if you want to really boil it down to the love part of it, loving neighbor. That's really what it's all about. It really points us to that, loving neighbor. Okay, let's look. What else do we have here? Any other comments? Virginia. I don't know what that is. A sex pimp? Virginia, one of Epstein's sex pimp secretaries was from JW family. She got put out and made homeless. Epstein assistant picked her up and she worked for him. Oh, that's Jane telling us some stories. Jane has some good stories. Okay. When he reached the fig tree, he found nothing but leaves because it was not the season for the figs. And then he said, "Cursed to the fig tree, may no one ever eat fruit from you again." Is that the Watchtower? Well, Jesus comes down and he finds nothing but leaves. It was the tree. If a tree isn't producing good fruit, Jesus said, cut it down and burn it. We're not going to do that. He's going to he's cutting it down and burning it. We're just reporting on it. We're just reporting what's happening around the world. It's changing this religion. Okay, so we put a survey on our Discord. How long do you think? Do you think that the governing body has the changes right now? Apparently, there's a new elders book, and they're going to throw the old elders book out. We haven't seen it, but it's in the wind. I can see that brand new elders book. So maybe all the changes are in the brand new elders book. They just haven't released it yet. So that means that could be any day now, just around the corner. Or is it going to take a couple of years? 3.5 years, 42 months, or 1,260 days. It's all the same. Give them the 3.5-year rule. That's 2. Or is the Watchtower never, ever going to change? Are they never going to change? Remember, They've said that we're never going to change. They've doubled down. Gary Breaux doubled down on that one, I believe. He said we're never going to change. I have that here too. There it is. Jehovah's Witnesses double down on the scriptures used to ignore abuse. We're not going to change. And this is the guy that they used to as their spokesman. Okay, well, it's interesting. We'll see what happens. They're changing. Look at how quick they change in Norway. Could you imagine Japan cancels them as a religion? They're going to make a lot of changes. I think my opinion is the changes are already happened. The changes are already happened behind the scene. They're just rolling them out. They're rolling them out and they're monitoring how they're being rolled out. They're rolled out with the annual meetings and they're going to keep rolling them out. They're rolling them out with the broadcasts. I think there's going to be more changes coming down the pipe, lots more changes. And it'll be interesting to see. They don't want to lose all their charity status, so they're going to have to make some big changes. And that's why it's so important what we're doing, every one of you guys out there in the background, getting your letters out, doing what you're doing, getting online. I think these channels are going to become like places for people to, ExJWs, because we all kind of were taught to think the way, so we're all helping each other unprogram, deprogram, get rid of some of these old thoughts, replace them with new thoughts, rewrite the record, however you want to look at it. It takes a bit of time, and I think that's what a lot of this is all about. Right now, it's about the Watchtower and this shunning the blood policy and the two-witness rule. There's about 3 things out there. If you want to be a Jehovah's Witness and you want to believe that there's only 144,000 people going to heaven and stuff like that, have at her. I'm not going down that road ever again. But there's going to be a lot of people that'll stay in these religions, all these religions. I don't think they're all going to just go dry unless they get enough lawsuits. If they get enough lawsuits and they have to start selling buildings, they have to just turn the lights off. That could happen too. And it seems like the courts are getting ready for it. Like all of these cases are all just building up, and they haven't really got to court yet. Watchtower's been fighting it. So it's going to be interesting over the next year to see what happens. Okay, folks, I think we're going to bring it into the program here. Virginia McAllister Evans. I saw some of those graphics, Jane. Yeah. You see some of the JW graphics, you'll have nightmares. The kids have nightmares. It's changing. We're in a changing world. What we thought was normal a few years ago, it's not normal today. We're in a changing world. So we might as well just get on and change. And they're good changes. They're not bad changes. They're good changes. So.
If you want, we could spend a few minutes on Discord to wrap it up.
Oh, okay, sure. So the good wife was mentioning, perhaps a lot of you folks online haven't heard of Discord. Here's how it works. I'm going to pull it up for you. It's a channel that it's a server, Discord. So I'm just going to pull it up there. I just have it saved. If it's discord.com, you load it, it's an app. Then you get the link. When you get the link, you'll come in here. This is what it'll look like on the screen. It'll look like this, probably, something like this. There'll be a landing page. Yeah, the landing area, it'll look like this when you come in. So it assigns you, I think, a little robot talks to you. You can say hi. It's just like anything else. You can put a message in there right at the bottom. So I could say hello. And then I can select one of these little things, you see. Now I just sent a hello to everyone in the landing area. So there's a creators only page, Fixing My Faith, Joe and Fran. So we have a creators community here. This is interesting. So, and you can't break anything in here, folks. You'll just go through it. It's just like going on to Reddit or any of these other online formats. But this is all part of a community. So this is ExJWs. There's it's growing. I think there's not quite 100, and there's a lot of creators in here. Pardon me? Oh, we're over 100. Okay, so it's growing fast. So there's a lot of creators in here. Joe and Fran, they have a site, and you can see what they're doing. They post some stuff in there. You can keep up on what's going on there. Ruby Quinn has a site. She has a lot going on. A channel, Witness Underground. And Fixing My Faith, that's us. We have a channel. So we put some stuff on there. If you have any ideas for me to make videos, come on to Fixing My Faith and say, hey, I got an idea for you. And you can put links in. Just copy and paste a link, throw them in. So if you have a really good video that you'd like to share with the community, there's a section called YouTube videos right here. And you can throw it in there. There's all kinds of YouTube videos. And you can watch the whole thing. I think I know this guy. Wally, that's his name. And see what happens. Plays it right in there.
Hello, and welcome back to Couch Talks with Wally, me talking while I'm sitting on... I'm not in the studio. We're doing podcast style Wally. Hello, and welcome back. It is Couch Talks with Wally, Wally's Couch Cast, Wally's Cast.
You can blow it right up, right?
Hello, and welcome back to the couch. Yes, we are back doing podcast style Wally, where it's a little bit more of a chill time.
Okay. So yeah, you can throw videos in if you like videos that you see. It's great. This one was a good one here. This Jeremiah Films, it's professionally done. I don't know who threw it in there. Well, we threw it in there. Okay, sometimes my good wife does that. But this is an hour-long movie, and it talks
F.M.
about...
Geip, a Watchtower spokesman and member of the headquarters staff, explains.
Well, we feel Jehovah's Witnesses are the only true religion. Otherwise, we would be teaching something else.
That Jesus returned invisible.
So I won't play a lot of it. I don't know how much of it is music that I can't play. But it goes on to talk about the Watchtower. Ray Franz is in there. Going way back, how it's the same stuff, same old. People were picketing back in the 50s against the Watchtower, just like we're doing today, except today we're all online, and now it's an online game. Watchtower's online. That's it. It's about online and getting the message out there, and it's easier for us to picket online. We can reach thousands of people online and show people that the Watchtower is a farce. It's a snare and a racket, just like what Russell and Rutherford were talking about. Okay, so there's birthdays on here, and you notice that they're lit up. If I haven't gotten into them, they're lit up, so you can see whose birthdays are happening. There's little gifts on there, birthday gifts. Then there's a chat, happy birthday area, general chat, non-JW related. So let's say you got something that's non-JW related, you can throw something in there. And I think that's about it. I think we covered a little bit on that. So yeah. So there'll be a link in the video below. All you got to do is load Discord on your computer, load the app, and then click the link and it'll take you right in and you can get to know the whole community. So it's a growing community, and it's like having a live. We're on this live right now, and you guys are all chatting, and you like that, and you talk. Well, it's like going into Discord right after this live. You can go into Discord, and you can carry on your chat, and it's a community, and everyone just loves it. There's even a place. I'm new at this too, right? So if you're into gaming, for gamers, the younger generation, they would know all about this.
But you can say how your wife beat you at checkers last night.
And my wife beat me at checkers last night. There's games on here. So I never went into the games, but there's a game section. But what I did want to say is there's events. And the events is the ExJW Recovery Workbook. I want to show you that here. So this is the events, ExJW Recovery Workbook. And they're held Sunday mornings. Now, if you have another time that you'd like to hold it, just let the moderators know, and they'll, Lucy, or I think is moderating there. Okay. The other thing is, if you, let's say you're having a panic attack, and you can come right into the voice chat, and you can leave a voice message with everyone, I think. Maybe. So my wife says you can do that on a lot of channels. So there is a voice chat. We were talking, playing checkers. We were talking back and forth, just from one room to the other, but just to demonstrate it. But you could be anywhere in the world playing checkers. There's games. You can have up to 8 people playing games. There's all kinds of things that we can do inside of here as a community. Maybe someone wants to build a Jehovah's Witness, ex-Jehovah's Witness game, how to get out of the Watchtower. I don't know. This could be fun. Okay, folks. Well, that brings an end to our program. Thanks, everyone, for being on with us. Let me see. Becoming a neighbor. I think that's good. Z63615. Become a neighbor, kind, considerate, as neighborly attention, cultivating familiar intercourse, interchanging visits, social, as the people of the place are very neighborly. I think it's good getting to know our neighbors. That's what it's all about, getting to know our neighbors. Okay, well, thanks again, folks. And I should call you friends. I should quit calling everyone folks. Thanks again, friends. That sounds better. Okay, well, friends, we're gonna call it a day, and everyone knows that the protest in the U.S. is on September 13th. So if you don't know what it looks like on the protest, you're going to go down there, and there's going to be more people this year. September 13th. This is the Suicide Prevention Month. And this is the day that there's going to be a lot of people out there talking. BEFREE will be there. There will be tables. There will be discussions. And there'll be discussions about different ones that were ExJWs that had committed suicide because of the pressure. It'll be a remembrance, a memorial in a sense, to think about these things. So hopefully this will be a time that we can get our voice out there. There will be more people from around the USA there that day. And hopefully we can get the ears of the politicians. And that's really who we want them hearing our message. So thanks again for everyone out there having a part of this, and that's planning to go to BEFREE. I think it'll be a great event. So here we go.